Alright, today we're going to be working on a Hoisin glazed pork fillet. Now here are the ingredients that we're going to be using, as well as some of the equipment that we're going to be using for this one. Real easy meal. We're going to use two bowls, two smaller bowls, a pan, non-stick preferably, and then a pot. And then we're going to use a cooking sheet. We're going to set the oven to about 450. We're going to let that preheat. While we let that preheat, we're going to wash our hands as always, as a good cook should. Now we're going to check out to see what's in the goodie bag. And they send you these like really cool bags with all your stuff. You got the beans, got garlic powder, jasmine rice, ponzu sauce, sriracha, some mayonnaise, sesame seeds, and some scallions. Now let's not forget the best part, the pork fillet. Now let's get those scallions in the sink so we can give them a real nice clean wash. Alright, after that, I'm going to get that on the cutting board, get it all sorted up. Separate the greens from the white of the scallion. Both have different purposes when it comes to cooking. Cut off the ends. Everyone likes the end parts, especially not me. And now we're going to start separating those end parts to the other end parts of the beans, because I mean no one really likes chewing on those stem portions. So here we go. I'm going to break them all off, and with the power of editing, and we are good. Alright, we're going to start working on them scallions here in a second. Slowly but carefully chop them into little tiny pieces. Now you'll notice that my knife is a little dull. It starts pushing some of that material out. That's the one thing I need to go get, is a sharpener for my knives. It's been a hot minute since I had sharpened those things. So the only downfall to this tacky cut job working on the second one, see how good it cuts, and then go at it. Now I am doing a very strange technique, but it's something I've gotten accustomed to. I know you're supposed to put knuckles down to prevent cutting, but I don't know. I've always felt comfortable with that technique. I can't even explain what technique that is. For the greens, we're going to be a little bit more, I guess, precise in using the top end of the knife to cut. More of a measured, I guess, cut for each of the greens. Take off some of that already messed up stuff and just give it a good chop. Honestly, you can cut it however you feel. I mean, as long as it gets cut up, because you're going to be using it in the pan, and the whites you're going to be using as a cooked portion for your rice, and then the greens are going to be more acting as a garnish for this overall meal. So however you like to cut it, finely or more bigger pieces, it's really up to you. And I guess that's the fun part about these little meal cooks, like meal plan things, is you can kind of do it however you want. You can follow the instructions or just go off the rail. Now that we got all that cut, we're going to move on to the next segment, which is making the sauce. So we're going to add some water and some good old exploding garlic. Yes, that did explode. So be careful if you ever open one of those things. Could get dangerous. We're going to add the hoisin sauce, which I did not mention. I found it at the bottom of the bag in the end. Give that a whisk, and then we're going to microwave it for about 30 seconds. Pretty good. On to the first cooking, which we are going to cook the scallion whites with a little bit of avocado oil. We're going to throw one in there just to test the heat and see when that oil is up to a simmering heat. I always like to throw a little in there. So now that we're up to a good enough temperature, we're going to throw the batch in there and get that sizzling. Yep, just move that around, keep it moving. If you let it sit, it'll start burning one side. You really don't want scallions, especially inside your rice. So make sure you really keep pushing that around. Let's get a lid. Once we get it up to the point that we want to, we're gonna throw some water in there. And then the jasmine rice. We're going to turn that heat to a very low temperature. We're going to put a lid on it and let it just sit. All right, so now we're going to work on the meat. We're going to grab 2 paper towels, just like that. We're going to throw the meat on there, and we're going to get these a little bit less wet. We're going to dry them off a little bit, pat them dry. There we go. All right, we're gonna add a reasonable amount of salt and pepper. I always love putting salt and pepper on meat. It just makes it look so good, so nice. It's like those two colors just ultimately complement each other when it comes down to this. Looking good. All right, now to start the oil for the pan so we can get a good sear on those fillets. Now, just like the pot I did over there, I'm gonna grab another scallion and throw it in there to test the heat. So as you can see right there, toss it in there. All right, now that we got a good heat on that oil, we're gonna start putting those things in there and get them working. Nice and gentle, nice and easy. Get that out of there. Now, we are working with an electric stove, so it is a little bit more of a pain, and the stove itself is kind of cantered a little bit, so the oil is gonna sit on one side, so I got to do a lot of moving around, a lot of getting it in the right spot. You want to get all sides of the actual pork itself, so you want to get all corners, all sides, and really in the end you just want it to look like this. Because you really want to keep those juices and everything inside that meat. So after that, we're going to put it on the tray, and then it's going to go into the oven here in just a second. Let's get those green beans on there too. All right, we're going to get a bag. We're going to throw them all into that bag, and we're going to add a little bit of oil, some pepper, some salt, and then we're just going to shake the hell out of it and then get it onto that tray. Really easy. Even it out as best we can, and then toss it into that oven, just like so. So if you made it this far, we're in the cooking segment where we just watch the food cook and we have a little talk, I guess. I don't know what I'm really going to talk about mostly for these segments. It's just going to be whatever kind of comes to my mind while I'm making these and editing these and whatever comes up in life. So now what I'm going to talk about this segment is about a show called 24. Now, if you haven't seen this show, I would highly recommend you going out watching it. From season 1 to 5, it is some of the greatest written, suspenseful, action-packed, twist-type shows out there. I'm on season 8, and it's kind of dying off. I'm not really enjoying it too much. I remember it very nostalgic as a kid, seasons 5 through 6. So this show is about a guy named Jack Bauer, and he is basically the United States Swiss Army knife. He is used from defusing bombs to setting up TAC teams to interrogating people and everything in between, good and bad. And you watch him do all these things, and you're just taken aback because he just keeps going. Like, the worst things could happen to him, and he just keeps pushing on. And he is strong in his willpower. But in season 3, there's this amazing scene. At the end of the season, not many spoilers in this one if you're worried, Jack is done doing everything he had to do in the 24-hour span. And he gets a car from one of the FBI agents to take to go do something. But when he gets into that car, he just breaks down and starts crying. He breaks down, and just the trauma and everything that happened to him that day and all the events that had happened that day just unfold and just weigh down on him in that moment. And I applaud the screenwriters for giving us that moment, because it really shows the humanness in this person. It shows that he isn't just some robot. He's not just some thing, you know. He's an actual human that has feelings, motivation. He has people he cares for, and everything he's done is something that he truly cares about. And it's in that moment that I, as at least a watcher, started really analyzing Jack and really looking at him as a person and stuff. He's not just this superhero and stuff. And it really made the show even better, I feel like, in that moment. And it's at the end of the season, and then that moment is interrupted, ironically, by someone on the radio asking for Jack to come help us interrogate this person. They just got the person that they needed to, and now they're like, hey, Jack, come help us, you know? And it's such an interesting scene to see that. And then he gets himself together, and he's like, yep, I'll go. And it's just, I feel like there's points in our lives where we don't stop and think about, you know, everything that happened in that 24 hours. A lot happens in 24 hours, you know, and that's just a day, right? Look back at a week, a month, a year, you know, all these years that have gone past. You know, you don't stop to reflect and look back at that and see all these things that happen. You know, you haven't taken the second to actually analyze it and realize wow, what trajectory am I on? What path is this that I'm on? You know, give yourself that second to really analyze and you know, if you have to cry, you have to let those emotions out. You know, you have to do what you have to do. And, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't make you any different than anyone else. But to analyze and, you know, actually look at those moments and see if this is the right path you should be on, I mean, is definitely something worth looking into. But that's all I have for you on this. I don't know what I'm going to call this segment, the cooking segment. That's a good one. But that's all I have for you on this one. Let's get back to cooking. I think the meal's almost done. So we're almost about to pull this meat out. We're gonna use that glaze that we made to coat these meats. So we're gonna bring that glaze out. And we're gonna use this brush to really coat the meat. So we're gonna pull that meat out, turn off that timer. There it is, looking great. Alright, so we're going to grab some of this sauce, and we're just going to gently start glazing all the sides of it. Get a nice even coat on both sides, both pieces. And then we're going to throw that right back into the oven for another 5 minutes. Alright, so while that's cooking, we're going to make our, I guess, yum sauce. So we're going to pour that mayonnaise, sriracha, and the rest of the garlic powder. Be careful. Stir that up. We're going to add a little bit of water. I added a little too much, to be honest. It's a little bit more watery than I would prefer, but still good. And we're going to pull that meat right back out. Take a look at that. Look at that. Looks great. Just take a closer look at that. That's what you want. Very nice glaze. So now we're going to bring the meat over to the cutting board. Put those pieces on. Toss these green beans a little bit, move them around. You should add the panzu sauce on right then and there, but I forgot. I put it on later. We're gonna cut this this meat up. Check it in. Ooh, looking good. And you can also tell that my knife is pretty dull because it keeps moving that cutting board. That is looking great. Well cooked. I'm going to put this to the side because we're going to start plating. Get yourself a plate. First thing we're going to put on there is meat. Try to make it look as pretty as possible. And then we're going to add the rice. Too much. Last but not least, we're going to add our beans. Here I am adding the panzu sauce that I forgot to add before, and now we're going to add that yum sauce. Mayonnaise makes that meat. As much as you want, up to you, if you like it saucy or not. A little bit on the rice, and then sesame seeds. Last but not least, the chopped scallion greens. Yeah, a little more sauce. let's do a side-by-side comparison. Oh, missing one thing. More sauce. Now I went a little crazy on the sauce, I won't lie. But does this look the same? Close. I approve. I'm fine with that. Now, excuse me while I go enjoy this. Well, that was amazing. I mean, it did what it was supposed to do. It had amazing flavor. The meat was perfectly tender, moist and juicy. The vegetables, great. The rice, on the other hand, wasn't too good. I thought how it was cooked wasn't the best. Especially, I think the problem was that there was hot oil in there, so it boiled the water a lot faster than it should have. So oil is supposed to, or rice is supposed to take a little bit shorter amount of time to cook, to soak up all that water and, you know, do its thing. But I think since that water was heated so fast that it didn't really have its full process, so it was a little bit crunchy. So I'll probably cook the scallions separate from the rice and have the rice cook on its own and then incorporate together next time I do it. But other than that, it was a great meal. It was very delicious. I really enjoyed it. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, give it a share. I'm gonna try to do this as much as I can. Start out with the HelloFresh meals at first, and then I'm gonna try to branch out to other meals. I think I don't know what the next one I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys. I'll let it be a surprise. So if you're interested and want to keep watching these, then stand by and I'll have the next one out. Until then, just know that there are people out there that care about you and that, you know, life does get better. And I'll see you on the next one.